What's up, everyone? My name's Joey Espinosa, and I'm a co-founder of CannabisPermits.com. We are a consulting business that helps people through compliance, I should say, throughout California, with anything from getting your local permitting to getting your state licensing to operating your business and coming up with standard operating procedures to make sure that you're maintaining compliance throughout the operations of your business. And I have been in the industry for about 9 years. I started off working in a hydroponics store. I had my own delivery service in California. I've been an owner in a dispensary, and I'm currently an owner in a distribution and manufacturing facility. And I just want to give you some history about who I am and let you know that I'm not just a consultant who is a paper pusher that just does paperwork for people. I actually am in the industry and have been in the industry for quite a while now. And I just want you to know that because the video that I want to talk to you about today is for people that are looking to invest in the cannabis industry. Specifically, people that are new to the cannabis industry that might not know a whole lot about it. If you are very familiar with the industry and you've been in it for a very long time, most of everything I'm going to say here is going to be pretty standard stuff for you, stuff that you probably already know, have learned over the years. So this video is really meant for people that are new to cannabis, that are thinking about investing or maybe just started to invest. And most of the principles and things I talk about really apply across the board, whether you're investing $10,000 or you're investing $100,000 or $10 million. It's all going to pretty much apply. I will say, though, that if you're looking to invest $10,000, you're probably in the wrong industry. The cannabis industry is extremely regulated, and with that comes a ton of capital that is needed to operate these businesses. And most of these businesses are going to need a very significant amount of investment to really make it and get to where they need to go. I would say on average, most cannabis businesses are probably going to need anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million, depending on how grandiose and how ambitious the operation is. And it's unfortunate because there's a lot of people that message me almost every day asking how to get in the industry, asking what they need to do to start a cannabis business. And once I start explaining to them the cost involved, they're almost always turned away because they just don't have that money. And so this is for people that do have that money, that might need to find people that understand the industry and that are interested in getting in it. I wanted to make this video mostly because I find that a lot of investors just really don't know anything about the industry. They don't understand what it takes to really operate these businesses. And I'm not downplaying investors as far as their business acumen. I mean, of course, most people who acquire significant amount of wealth have learned a lot and are businessmen and have, a fair understanding of business in general. And so I'm not downplaying that in any way. I am just saying, though, I've seen many times where investors have certain expectations that just seem extremely unrealistic in my experience. And they may also have been guided or been fed some misinformation from people that are looking for investment that have, probably bolstered their expectations and said, hey, we're going to do this and we're going to make all this money. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but this video is to give you a little bit more context. So when it comes to the cannabis industry, if you're looking to invest in this industry, in my opinion, there's really only a few routes you can go when it comes to wanting to do an investment that will have a large amount of a return in hopefully a shorter amount of time. And the number one thing is real estate. And if you're a business person with some wealth, you probably know that real estate is how a lot of people make a good amount of money. Almost anyone I know that's a successful business person has their hands in real estate in some way or another. And when it comes to cannabis real estate, it's really about locking in properties early before the bubble starts so that you can then buy the property and then get a permit for the property and then hopefully sell that property for a lot more money. Basic real estate stuff, get in and buy low and sell high. In the cannabis industry, the name of the game is really focusing on real estate that is in particular zones that are required for the cannabis business to operate. Every single local jurisdiction in California will have very specific zoning requirements for different types of cannabis businesses. For example, if it's a retail business, which is probably one of the hottest businesses you can get right now, you are more than likely going to have to be in some sort of a commercial zoning, light commercial, heavy commercial zoning. Every city's different, but for the most part, you're going to be in a commercial zone. So you want to go in and you want to buy these properties and acquire these properties, hopefully well before they open up their application process, because more often than not, the application process is going to only allow X amount of permits for that business type, especially when it comes to retail. Retail is the one that you almost always see with a limited amount of permits available. And so you as an investor are going to want to be able to get in there and lock in those properties well before the process starts, because as we get closer to that process starting, and of course as we get to them selecting people and things like that, most properties get locked up really quickly. As soon as it's on the news that this city is going to regulate, you're going to have people come in and lock in those properties really quickly. So one thing that I can highly recommend that you do is look at websites such as cannaregs.com. It's a really great website, and I know the owner of that business. She's a very intelligent woman who has done a great job and provided a great service. It basically allows you to keep track on the regulations in different cities and counties throughout California, and actually throughout the country. So it's a way for you to figure out maybe who's going to be turning on, what kind of permits are going to be available, what type of zones do you need to be looking for and targeting, things like that. When it comes to real estate, there's a lot of money that could be made. I know people that have purchased greenhouse properties for, say, $2.5 million, and then within a year, they were able to sell those greenhouse properties for about $9.5 million. And that's simply because they got the property early. They were on the route of getting it permitted and get it permitted. And then now there are large companies that want those things, that just want to swoop in and take over the properties and take over the permits, and get that going without having to go through all the red tape and all the stress that comes along with getting something permitted. So real estate's number one. If you want to get in, make some money and get out, real estate's the way to go. If you're trying to get in and you want to invest in a company, an actual company that's operating in the cannabis industry, I tell people all the time, do not expect to see any returns for quite a while. And again, I'm not saying this is every time. I'm not saying this is every person or every scenario. Are there people that can maybe come in here and start making things profitable relatively quickly? I'm sure they exist, but more often than not, it's going to take quite a while to see some sort of a return from a cannabis business. And more often than not, you're going to have to probably invest more money than you expected, because these businesses run out of money very quickly. And it's a combination of people not knowing what they're doing, people not asking for as much as they needed in the beginning because they didn't expect certain things to happen, and really just regulations. These regulations are ever changing, and sometimes things come up that we weren't really aware of, or things come up where we interpreted the regulations differently, and then the regulators interpreted it a different way than we did. And so now we have to go do this or go buy that. And you have to be really on top of those things. So if you're someone that's going to invest in a cannabis business and you want to actually see this through, and you want to maybe eventually sell this business for millions and millions of dollars and sell a brand that you're building for millions and millions of dollars, you need to be in it for the long haul. If you're an investor that wants to invest in a business and get your money back within 2 or 3 years, I don't think that's the route for you to go. If you're an investor who wants to invest in a business and you're in it for the long haul, meaning that you want to be in that business for 5, 10, 15 years, and then maybe see it become some mega brand or some huge corporation throughout America as regulations open up, I think that's the way for you to go. And that's something for you to be aware of in the very beginning. I usually like to use the story of the UFC as kind of an analogy for the cannabis industry. The UFC, mixed martial arts, UFC is the number one company when it comes to promotion for mixed martial arts. The UFC, long story short, was basically bought, I think it was 2001 maybe, or somewhere around there, by Dana White, the Fertitta brothers. They bought it for $1 million, I think it was, something like that, and they spent about $40 million before it actually started making money. And then just 2 or 3 years ago, they were able to sell their business for $4 billion because they built it up. But of course, it took them 15 plus years for them to get to the point to build the business to that. And so that's just my point, is that if you really want to see these businesses through, just don't let someone tell you, hey, invest $500,000 and we're just going to start making a ton of money right off the bat. It's not going to happen. That's not the way this works. There's too much regulation. There's too much taxation. There's too much overhead in almost all of these businesses to actually have that happen. You're going to have to get in these businesses and see them through and work your way through a lot of these regulations and fight your way through a lot of these regulations. Expect to spend money on lobbyists, expect to spend money on trade associations, expect to spend money on a lot of things that are going to influence, hopefully, loosening up regulations or making them a little bit more logical and easier to work with, because again, these businesses are just ridiculously regulated. And again, not trying to scare anyone away, I just want to have a quick, honest video that if you're looking to invest in the cannabis industry, you want to do it smart, you want to really do your homework, and you want to truly understand what you're getting yourself into and what you can expect. Because when you're investing that money in this, it's a volatile industry. You could lose a lot of it very quickly. I've seen people lose a lot of it very quickly. And I've seen a lot of people go out of business already because they just didn't have enough money to keep up and to survive. So make sure that you are working with people who are very diligent and have done all of their homework if you haven't done it yourself. You want to work with cannabis operators that not only understand the industry, but have a very good knowledge of business in general. I'm finding there's a lot of people that are really passionate and know a lot about cannabis and the industry. They just don't know much about the actual business. They don't know about payroll. They don't know about payroll taxes and workers' comp and all the insurance that comes with businesses. They don't understand all of these things and all of the overhead that comes with a true regulated business. Most of these guys have been operating in a gray area where they basically just buy and sell weed, or they just grow weed and they sell it, and it's very simple. Unfortunately, those days are gone, and I don't see them coming back anytime soon. If you have any questions for me, you can reach me at joey@cannabispermits.com. You can check out our Instagram page at Cannabis Permits, and of course, look at our website, cannabispermits.com. See if you want to message us or if there's any way we can help you. We're more than happy. Our phone number is listed there as well. I hope this made it a little bit easier for people looking to invest. If you have any questions, shoot them down in the comment section, and we will do our best to answer them for you. And have a good one.